Modern men are not okay. 80% of suicides are carried out by men. Modern men are more lonely and lost than they've ever been in recorded history. We have fewer close male friendships or close friendships of any kind than at any other point in history. The leading cause of death for men under 50 is themselves. And countless more men who aren't killing themselves in one go are slowly killing themselves over the course of months, years and decades with addictions and compulsive self-destruction. And in this video, mate, I'm going to talk to you about the demon that's making modern man suffer so much. I'm talking about something that, in my view, deepens the suffering even more, which is what I call a conflict between the old masculine and what I call the feminized masculine, and how these two are conflicting with each other. And toward the end of the video, mate, I'm also going to talk about an option that modern men can take, a path that they can walk, that I believe is a viable alternative to healing this, to not struggle so much and to genuinely live a good life. And mate, if we've never met before, my name is Oliver. I'm a men's coach with over 4 years of experience with a background in psychotherapy, and on this channel I help you end the war in your mind and start living courageously. But firstly, let's talk about that demon that lives inside every man. I used to have an uncle. His name was Bob, and that's his actual name. His name was Robert, and my middle name is Robert. I'm named after him. Now, growing up, he was honestly my favourite uncle. He would tell stories, and he'd do all the funny voices. He was very good at that. He would play the fighting game Tekken on PlayStation 1. We'd play together when I was about 5 or 6. I remember playing with him. When he walked into a room, the room lit up. Everybody loved having Bob around. He was the life and soul of the party. But at some point over the years, something happened. Something changed. The demon awoke. It grabbed a hold of his heart. It grabbed a hold of his throat. And it started draining him of life energy. This demon had a hold of him, and it wasn't letting go. Pretty soon the demon silenced him. Bob stopped doing the voices. That kind of warm energy, the life and soul of the party, evaporated. That's when he started drinking more, and the drinking increased over the years. Uncle Bob's liver began to fail him. He started to turn a different colour. His belly began to bloat to the point where he looked almost like morbidly obese. And all throughout, he never said a word to anybody. He was silent. And he took this silence to the grave, because the alcohol killed him. His liver failed. The demon won. At the funeral, I'm there, stifling tears, trying to push it down, not feel so much. And I'm looking around, and I'm seeing bags of cocaine and MDMA being passed around. I'm not seeing any of the men with tears in their eyes. I'm seeing them with these blank expressions. And in that moment, it kind of showed me. I was like, wow, that demon wasn't just in Uncle Bob. That demon is in all of us. And the thing is about that demon is it has a name. And that demon's name is trauma. The demon is created from all the emotional wounds, all the big traumas, all the little traumas, all the stuff that we couldn't process in the moment for various reasons, all the stuff that we didn't grieve, all the things that we lost, all the stuff that we were never taught as men to handle emotionally, because we're not taught this stuff. We're just expected to know it. We're expected to just grow up and automatically know how to carry that burden. And the thing is about this demon man is he feeds on silence. He feeds on darkness. This demon gets bigger in the dark. And this is how so many men deal with it. Silence. Be quiet. Don't tell anyone. Don't reveal it to anyone. Don't reveal it to yourself. Just ignore it as much as possible. And the result is society is just full, man, of men who are walking around with this wounded boy inside because no one will listen to them. And this is how we deal with it. Say nothing. Feel nothing. Push it down. And stay silent. And when that silence becomes too much, pour some fucking booze on it. Snort something. Pop a pill. Just don't feel anything. Can you relate to that? The men that you grew up with, the men that you grew up around. Did I not just describe that? Maybe you can relate to me. What I just described is a part of what I call the old masculine. It's the pitfalls of traditional masculinity, which gave us beautiful things, but at a great cost. And that cost is the suffering that my Uncle Bob experienced. Man up, don't feel nothing. Men don't cry, that kind of stuff. That's old masculine. And over the years, over the past 10, 20 years, 30 years, society realised, didn't they? They realised that this old masculine, this traditional masculine, there's things wrong with it. Women began to join the conversation and started saying, look, this is the kind of suffering we've gone through at the hands of men like this. And a lot of us in society, we started realising, we were like, shit, we don't want to be like that. We don't want to be bad people. So we started listening to a lot of women who were saying, look, you should be more like this. So like a lot of men, I'll count myself among them, we overcorrected. We didn't want to be anything like the old masculine that our fathers and great-grandfathers seemed to embody. We didn't want the suffering for ourselves and those around us. So what we did was we repressed our masculinity. We went way too far the other way. We overcorrected. We started listening to what women were telling us that men should be. And here's what happened with me and what happened with many men. And I know this for a fact. I suppressed my masculinity. I became Mr. Nice Guy. I became compassionate, soft, ineffectual, wouldn't harm a fly. I became harmless to everyone, but I was inflicting so much harm upon myself. I had no confidence. I was afraid of confrontation. I was never assertive. I let people walk all over me looking back. People didn't respect me because I didn't respect myself. My dating life was a mess. I'd always be seemingly friends or not chosen or rejected by the women that I really liked. And when I was friends with women, I would see that they would spend time with guys who treated them like shit. And over the years, I realised that so many men were just like me in that camp. This is the result. This is a possible outcome of what I call the feminized masculine, which is a man who has repressed his masculine energy. And he's completely listening only to what women tell him that men should be. But by doing so, he represses much of what makes his life work. So it causes just as much harm in the long run. So if the old masculine causes destruction, and if this new feminized masculine also causes suffering in man, it's not a viable solution either. So what am I suggesting? Well, mate, over the course of many years now, I've dived deep into psychology, personal development, philosophy, men's work, even spirituality and mysticism. I've worked with over 200 men at this point in my work as a coach, and I've developed a bit of a philosophy that I call the way of the courageous man. Why courage? I've realised that without courage, you have nothing. Without courage, you don't have a life. Without courage, you are barely even a man. And I'm not being shaming about that. I mean that literally. Like, without courage, you are a boy trapped in a man's body, because it takes courage to mature. It takes courage to face life head on and fully become a man, an individual in the world. So let me dive into the 5 principles. Let me dive into the 5 principles that create the courageous manifesto. What are the traits of a courageous man? Well, the first trait is presence. Do you know what kills bacteria? The most reliable killer of bacteria. sunlight. And in just the same way, our demons cannot face the light of our awareness. You see, a passive boy, which is the opposite of a courageous man, a passive boy avoids his demons. He avoids confronting his own shadows, the things about his life that he doesn't like. He avoids it all. A passive boy just avoids life. He has a fear of life. The courageous man faces his demons head on. He gets in the arena with them. He faces his trauma, his pain, his emotional wounds. He faces them so other people don't have to face them. And it gives him what I consider to be the fundamental superpower that a man can possess, and that is a calm mind. Principle number 2 is power. A passive boy is weak, he's limp, he's ineffective, and he's conflict avoidant. Whereas a courageous man is a man who cultivates personal power. This means he knows his boundaries, he knows how to enforce his boundaries, he's worked on his assertiveness, and he trains his body and takes care of his body. He makes his body strong because he realizes that the foundation of all personal development, all personal growth, the foundation of masculinity itself fundamentally is strength. He knows how to handle his anger and his rage in a way that doesn't just come out and doesn't cause destruction to the people around him. A courageous man fundamentally is somebody who people respect, and he's somebody that people don't screw with. Principle 3 is polarity. Masculine energy attracts feminine energy. A man with a masculine core tends to attract women with a feminine core, who are in touch with their femininity. But the passive boy, he lacks masculine energy. He's not integrated and brought to the surface his masculine energy. He's not developed a masculine core yet. And this is one of the reasons why women are turned off. They're not attracted to him. They friend zone him. And it's also one of the reasons why he lacks an essential life force energy. He lacks courage. The courageous man is different. He has a strongly developed masculine core. He is a man of integrity. He is a man of drive, decisiveness, and he is a man who tells the truth. He is all of these things while also honoring the essence of the feminine that exists in all of us regardless. He makes space for the creativity, the flow, the playfulness of the feminine in himself and other people. And by integrating his masculinity while making space for the feminine, he becomes highly attractive. He becomes a highly attractive man. And in his relationships, he ignites a kind of passion, not only in his relationships, but also in his life. Principle 4 is provision. A good life is reserved for those who serve and give value to other people. The truly selfish, they suffer in the long run. The passive boy takes. The courageous man provides, but not just provides financially. The courageous man provides a sense of safety, a sense of emotional safety, financial safety, physical safety. But this does not mean becoming this self-sacrificing sort of martyr, where you self-sacrifice, you just give to everyone else at the expense of yourself. This is not the way. A courageous man seeks to find the win-wins. He cultivates this kind of sense of abundance for himself, which serves himself and he serves the world and other people. This means developing the skills, seeking opportunities, creating things in the world actively, taking action in a way that cultivates wealth and abundance, so that he can provide that wealth not just to himself because he deserves it, but also to the people that he loves in his life. He becomes that source of giving and that source of abundance rather than taking from existence and other people. And principle number 5 is purpose. Addiction is the enemy of purpose. The shadow purpose of the passive boy is pleasure seeking. Everything that a passive boy does in some form or another is an attempt to seek purpose, jumping in his life from one pleasure to the next. In a kind of endless chase that never actually gets there. He's on a treadmill basically because his life doesn't have a purpose, it doesn't have meaning. Pleasure is not a good meaning, it's not a substitute for meaning, and it never has been. but the courageous man has higher standards for himself. The courageous man chooses purpose over pleasure every day of the week. The courageous man has a concrete vision for what he wants his life to look like, a vision that's authentic to him, not just given to him by someone else. He's created and spent the time and done the soul searching required to create this vision for himself and the kind of man that he wants to become. And everything in his life is intentionally chosen to serve that purpose. He knows what his mission is, and he is ultimately the leader of his life. Now, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're going to embody these principles and become the best man you can be and live courageously, then you need to cultivate friendships and male connections in your life with men who embody the same principles. But doing that in today's modern age is next to impossible. And that is exactly why, halfway through October, I'm launching my community. I'm launching the Courageous Man Community. So if you're interested in that, click the link in the pinned comment down below. Get on the waiting list. The first 20 men on the waiting list will get a 50% lifetime discount as like a founder's kind of discount. So click that link in the description and the pinned comment down below, and I will see you in the community, mate. Stay courageous.